Hello everyone, and welcome to So Many Games All the Time. My name is Joachim, and today I will do a review, a deep dive review of Keep the Heroes Out. How do they work? Well, basically, I'm going to open the box, go through everything, and talk about it, how I feel about it, and everything else. And also have some positive stuff to say, maybe some negative stuff to say, but you can see, it'll be clear when I'm making a new point, is what I'm saying. All right, first of all, you can already see the game. It doesn't take up much space on your Calyx or shelf or whatever. It's just a regular game, even though this has the expansions in it. So that's all fine. You can see it's very cute. And yeah, so that being said, let's open it up. Okay, so I don't know why this is upside down, but whatever. So you can... One thing that I like already is that you have the dungeon book, okay? The expansion here, and then the manual. So what do I like about the dungeon book? The dungeon book just has so many different scenarios. So it started at scenario 1 and goes all the way down to scenario 20, okay? And not only is that quite a bit of variety, but then if you tackle it with different monsters, then you're also going to be having a different experience. Now, I'm very sorry, I haven't told you what the game is about yet. The game is basically you are the heroes and you are the monsters and you're trying to stop these pesky heroes from coming into your dungeon and looting it. That is the idea behind Keep the Heroes Out. Okay. So, yeah, that being said, that's what those scenarios are and the monsters you can use to stop them. But you also have Chronicle mode, you have one-shot mode. One-shot mode is you just choose a scenario and you do it. Chronicle mode is a mini campaign, but you should play that after you've played a little bit already. So let me first talk a little bit about the one-shot mode as I go through it. Actually, I'm going to come back to these after I talk about the contents. So I'm going to put it here so I don't forget to talk about it. Also, the Guildmaster's Revenge, I'll talk about that later as well because those are all different game modes. Okay. So the rulebook in itself, it's pretty well written. Only a couple of times that I had to go back and think about, how is that again? I especially like how he being Louis Brueh from Brueh Games, how he explains all the different monsters, gives a pro tip for everyone, which ones are crowd control, which are defenders, which are supporters, and so on. And it does make a huge difference when you're playing. For example, when I played solo, I would definitely not play one clan only because that makes it very difficult to do. Like two-handed makes it a little bit easier because you can, assign people some stuff. For example, if you have defenders, where to put them. The crown control ones, you need to make sure they go around and take people out. The supporters, they're just to, add portals, traps or whatever, and, all cool stuff. The way the turns go, I think are actually very nifty because it's a little bit different from your typical deck builders. Like you play your cards, but then you can discard cards to refresh the loot. Because you're going to have some loot cards that you can buy, but then you can just say like, okay, these are all crap. I'm going to keep one card and throw it away. Honestly, it's rare that you want to throw away a card because your cards are valuable. But then you immediately draw up again because some of the cards that you have can be used on somebody else's turn or on the monster's turn, actually, I should say, because they can help you defend. For example, these slimes, they have cards that when they get attacked, they basically split into two of them, which is really nice. And then the Heroes Invasion. I do have something to say about that when we reach it. The actions are all very easy to understand. The iconography is very good. The only thing that was a little bit of a tricky thing to understand is the arrow. That basically that's when you're defending. Something happens to you and then you can do it. But all in all, that was pretty okay. The tokens are all fine. I have the deluxe version that you'll see later, but basic ones were also just well and good enough. Dungeon rooms are okay, but after playing several times, I kind of want to have more rooms down the line. That would be nice. I imagine that will probably come because this game is so easy to make expansions for. More monsters, more rooms, more scenarios, you name it. I like how each room has another room that it belongs to. Like here you get the books, and here you can exchange them for spells, and that works for every one of those rooms. You get the resources, and then you get the spells. Not the spells, but the loot, so to speak. The only thing that's not the case for is the traps, but of course you want to spread them around to kill the heroes. All right, so basically there's some special rooms that I'm not going to go into. Another room is the cell. You can throw people in the cell. There have been people saying that, look, it's not really thematic that you throw a hero in the cell as an option. Why wouldn't you just immediately throw them in the cell? That's also true. And also, when you throw them in the cell, they still do their special power. Like, how does that make sense? But, you know, the way I explain it is that they struggle, right? They get captured, and some monsters they don't want to kill. They're just going to throw them in jail. And as they're struggling to get thrown in jail, they're still shooting arrows. They're still destroying resources. They're still trying to activate their friends, whatever, you know, it takes some convincing, but it works eventually, right? So cool thing about the game is that every room has a treasure chest. So these basically work as a slowdown mechanic, but also a punishing mechanic, because the heroes want to open the treasure chest, and then on the other side you have a bunch of stuff. Sometimes it's not that bad. Like you might say, oh, destroy some resources in that room. Whatever. But sometimes it's reactivate, which means the heroes open the chest. Normally they're exhausted and they stop. But when they get reactivated, they get back up and they run off again. So then it could be like a cascade, which it can be horrible. So the one thing that I have a problem with the game a little bit is the difficulty. Because you have some difficulty levels when the heroes invade. You have the family one. There's two waves. The first wave, you reveal one guild card. So that's, for example, this one means you put 2 heroes out and then they'll do their thing. And then in wave 2, when you go through the whole deck, then 2 guild cards come out. Now the family mode is too easy, because when one card comes out, you have so much time to prepare everything, you know, to really turn your dungeon into a keep or whatever. And then wave 2 doesn't really do much anymore, because you're so well prepared. There's traps everywhere. You have good cards in your deck. It's like, pff, come at me, bro. Right? But then challenging is a bit too challenging, because then from the start you get 2 guild cards, which means from the start you, after your first turn, you immediately get 4 heroes, and then 4 heroes, and then 4 heroes, and you're very busy stopping the heroes, and you don't have a lot of time of getting cards, which I think is a bit of a shame, because getting those good cards and being able to use them is just cool, you know, the deck building aspect. And you know, the hardcore one, then I think you definitely have to forget about buying cards, or it's very difficult, because the wave 2 is then reveal 3 guild cards. I think something in between family and challenging would work, like for, let's say, medium, whatever. And then the wave 1, you do draw 1, draw 2, draw 1, draw 2, draw 1, draw 2. And then wave 2, just 2. Maybe that'll work better. Or maybe I'm just not good at the game, you know? But the thing is, it felt a little bit like playing 2K, doesn't matter which one, or FIFA. When you go from one difficulty level to the next, suddenly there's a huge gap in some cases. And it's like, whoa, now I'm losing by I don't know how much. But if I go down one difficulty level, I'm winning by I don't know how much. So I think that's my biggest thing. There's another small thing, but yeah, whatever. So here's some examples which are really good. But this brings me to something else. If I set up the different dungeons, right? In the dungeon book, there's so many different types, layouts, right? It could be me, right? Could be the lighting, could be whatever. But for me, it's difficult to notice the walls, because sometimes my guys just run over the walls, because I don't notice it well enough that there's no opening there, right? Because the openings are quite tiny. So I need to put some stuff on the wall to remind myself that it's a wall. But yeah, there's once again a tiny caveat. So I think this is enough for this one. Of course, now we're going to talk about what it looks like. It looks amazing, right? These are some special rooms that you can do, the library and everything. The art, just like his previous game with Night of the 100 Yokai, Parade of the 100 Yokai. Night Parade of the that one. It's just really cool. Because after that, I said, I'll just buy any game you make because I'm a sucker for beautiful art. And then his games end up being good as well. You just see it's beautiful, right? If you play it, people will come and see and like, whoa, what are you playing? This looks awesome, because it is awesome. Here, of course, you have like the deluxe pieces. You don't really need them. They're cool, right? They look nicer. They pop more than the regular pieces for sure. But I mean, the basic ones are just good enough. I mean, they're functional. But of course, these are nice. Here you have the treasure chests. So you can see some of them is like destroy a resource. Don't really care about that. But other ones, you lose a card, which can be bad if this happens twice in one turn, because suddenly from 5 cards, you only have 3. And that can really be crippling. And this one is the bane of my existence. This is Refresh. That has caused me to lose games. Then the tiles where you put the stuff on. Okay, whatever. Right, then we have here, of course, the heroes. The heroes come with the expansion, by the way, the Guildmaster's Revenge. So if you don't have the expansion, you won't have the hero minis or standees, tokens, whatever. Then you'll just have little cardboard chips, right? I think I'd have to check. Let's check, because I don't want to say anything that's not true. Let's see the components. Where are the heroes? Oh yeah, just hero tokens. Yeah, okay. So, of course, the heroes look cool. But once again, these are for the expansion, right? These are the different heroes. Although I have to say, I mistook this one for a monster. And this one as well. This is a rogue, archer, warrior, and a mage, right? Okay, cool. And then we also have the monsters, of course. So I'll show them one by one. The dragon. See if I can find all of them. Okay. Cthulhu, also expansion. Pretty cool, because Cthulhu can make heroes attack each other when he's asleep. Not when he's awake, only when he's asleep. Which is funny, because then he invades their dreams, of course. Who else am I missing? This one. So, and I'm still missing the ghosts as well. There we go. And I think also the witches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm pretty sure I'm missing one more. Ah, yes, of course. Here we go. So these are all the different ones. Some of them have more. Like there's a lot of rats, there's a lot of jellies, and so on. Yeah. So they're all in here. Loose. Now, Illusionist told me I should put them all in bags, because otherwise they might scratch, which is true. I should do that, but I haven't yet. Okay. So you can also see the sleeved cards. They fit perfectly well. So what are all these decks? First of all, this deck is when you play with the Guildmaster's Revenge. Now, the Guildmaster's Revenge, that means one person plays as the Guildmasters. They have control over the heroes, right? And then you can actually, you take the cards in your hand, you take like 5 cards, and then you decide which heroes come out. I'll talk more about that, because it's fun, but, you know, it has some problems. And these are the regular cards, the regular deck, that where they come out. And you can see the art, of course, is nice. This is the regular deck of invaders, the heroes. Then we have the loot deck. And you see these cards, they all look so nice. So it is kind of a shame if you can't get them, right? Like with the yokai game, you have a lot of chances to get those cool cards, right? Because that's the point of the game. Here, these just make you powerful. Though I can understand if you have too many, you might be too powerful. But the art is so nice. It's so cool to have, right? And look, just if this one comes up, I have to get him. I have to, the gelatinous cube, I need to. So yeah, these are all really cool. So many of them as well. With some of the expansion there as well, of course. All right, so then we have all the monster cards here. So these cards here, I'll take a couple. These are just the clan cards. They tell you what their special ability is, how many are there, how high is their health, and then how many cards you have. And then which rooms do they start in, how many as well. So you can see the different ones. And they all look really nice, right? As usual. So I ended up trying all of them. Of course, I have some of them that I like more than others. I think if I want to have a game to just enjoy the different clans and so on, I would just play family mode, honestly. You know, only in wave 2, you'll get a little bit, or maybe do family mode and then have wave 2, have like 3 cards, something like that. So you can see, for example, the dragon, they have different types of cards. You can't cull cards though. So the cards you have, you'll keep, but they're always useful. Another thing I like, for example, doesn't apply to the dragon though. So let's say here with these guys, normally you would think I play this card, I have a move and activate. I have to move 1 unit. But in this game is not the case. You can activate, if you have like 5 people on the board, you can say, okay, I'll use this one on my second guy and this one will be the 4th guy. So all these icons, you don't have to use them with just one person. For example, move twice. Doesn't have to be 1 jelly, it can be 2 different jellies. So you can just, it just gives you so many options in general, especially when you buy those cards as well. All right, so these go on top of here. And there are so many cards, right, for each faction. And the art, as you can see, just remains amazing. You can see here, Cthulhu is asleep. Yeah. It's funny, I thought my daughter would like this. She doesn't like the monsters at all. So too bad. Well, in a way, it's good for me because her not liking the monsters means that she is not going to potentially destroy my games. All right, this is the Cthulhu expansion. Explanation doesn't really matter. Then we have some cards here of potential guys that can come in the game. Some elite guys as well. And then here, and that is also very nifty, remember those 20 scenarios? Well, for each scenario, there are cards that are going into the invader deck. And then when they come out during the scenario, something happens. For example, this is the witch in the first scenario. She wants to make soup with frogs. So if she comes out and you have a frog in the laboratory or whatever, or the cauldron room, whatever, then she's happy. Fine, nothing happens, 1 frog disappears. But if there's no frog, everybody loses a card. But in the second one, when he comes out, he will throw a hero in jail and you draw another card. So that's really annoying. Another example would be if you don't have 2 coins, you lose a card and an extra card comes out. So stuff like that. There's all these people do stuff, you know, and sometimes it's good. Like this person is singing, all right? She's the mermaid and she's singing. And if she is still singing, then you get to draw an extra card and a new card is drawn. If she has been chased away, which of course you don't want to, then you'll draw 2 extra cards, 2 extra invaders that come out. So there's a bunch of stuff that happens. Some of them look really funny. I haven't played all the scenarios yet, but you can see some of them look pretty hilarious. Some of them look really badass. So when they come out. So yeah, it keeps the game pretty fresh, ask me. So I think this has a pretty long shelf life. There's some other cards that you can add if you want to. This one is also with the Guildmaster's Revenge expansion. This is loot for the heroes. So if you buy this, it'll cost you 4 treasures, and then your hero can get rid of a trap when they land, and stuff like that. Look, one more damage. My favorite somewhere is here. Where is it? Here. 1 health extra. So suddenly my heroes have all my mages, for example, have 2 health. So yeah, that's loot that they can buy if you manage to loot treasure chests. So I said it before, I'll say it again, the game has a lot of stuff to offer. Difficulty is the most difficult, but I have to say also the designer, Brueh, put a lengthy post on BGG giving tips. You know, if you struggle too much with the game, you can go there, you can read it, and then you can take his advice to heart and then use it. And then it'll make a lot of difference. For example, making sure you get those traps out there as quickly as possible because that gives you breathing room. Because if a hero other than a rogue is placed in a room with a trap, they instantly die, right? For example. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about the modes. these ones. So first of all, the Guildmaster's Revenge. I think with that one, I have the biggest problem. You can see a playthrough of everything, by the way, on my channel. But with this one, I played against Illusionist twice. And honestly, with the Guildmaster's Revenge, I have the cards, okay? I get to play. But then when you play the regular game, it's two random cards that come out. Might be a mage and a rogue in two different rooms. But then when I'm playing, I'm going to make sure the two cards go to the same room, and preferably a room where she doesn't have any monsters. But that makes it so easy to start a cascade, because I move them to the right, and then she makes sure all her monsters go to the right to stop it. And then on my turn, oh, I'm going to drop some monsters on the left side of the dungeon. And then she has to go running back, but now those rooms on the right are weaker, because I was probably able to loot some chests. So I hit that side again. It's very difficult for the opponent to keep up when you're the Guildmaster. Now they do say, and that's kind of funny, if you're playing as the Guildmaster and you're playing with kids, then you just make sure that you're always like half in the game. If you feel like you're winning, you do some bad drops so you lose, stuff like that, right? So in the end, you make sure the kids win. So I like that touch. But for people who play it seriously, people who want to play it normally, it is pretty powerful, because in the two games that I played, I was able to get like the armor as well, the health. It makes it even more difficult to kill my guys, so I just keep spamming those. It's not easy. It was fun for me, but it was not a challenge for me. For her, it was like, huh? Because she felt like she was doing something wrong, which she wasn't. I have to say, she wasn't, but it's just, yeah. I think the Guildmaster's Revenge is cool, but then I think it would be better if it's like, I get a turn, she gets 2 turns. I get a turn, she gets 2 turns. Because it's a bit unfair that you can control where the heroes come out. But I mean, that's just my 2 cents. Aside from that, you have the one-shot mode. Those are great. Those are really great. You can do one scenario, use as many monsters as you want. Well, probably up to a maximum of 4, I think. But then it's always monster, heroes, monster, heroes, monster, heroes. So it's never hero, monster, 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 not like that. So it's just cool to explore the synergies. It looks nice. It looks beautiful. Chronicle mode, I tried one game and of course I lost. So in Chronicle mode, it's the scenario where you have to, for example, you start with Exquisite Cuisine. So the Witch's Cauldron, the first scenario. If you win, fine, cool, continue. If you lose, you start the next scenario with 1 card less in the beginning, right? All hail to the Bullfrog King. If you win, cool. If you lose, and you lost the previous one as well, suddenly you start with 2 less cards. And then Endangered Species and 2 of the Necromancer. Okay, so those are the 4 you have to do first. So number 1, number 4, number 13, number 15. And you cannot use certain types of monsters. So in this case, you can't use these guys. And I always forget what they're called. What are you called? The Lizard Folk. You can't use the Lizard Folk or the Skeletons. But if you manage to complete it, and you can change your monsters every scenario, you don't have to stick to the same 2 or 3 or whatever, or 1 that you use the first scenario. When you finish, right? When you finish, then toasting, you get a special skill. For example, in toasting, after you've completed it and you did it, then you have to win the last scenario though. You can lose everything, but make sure you win the last one. When you resolve a potion, select one dungeon room where you have at least 1 monster. All players with monsters present in the same room benefit from the potion's effect. So, for example, if you make sure one of your monsters uses a certain potion, which is a card, right? And there's a bunch of other monsters in there, they all get to do what it says on the card, which is really powerful. And then you have the second one, Piggyback Riders. That's when you complete Puppy Mom. Then you can actually, when we move a monster, you can take other monsters with you as long as the monster you're using is bigger, because there's like an order. And there's 3 others that I won't spoil. But in the end, you will have played all the scenarios, because there's 5 sets of 4, so 20. And then you'll have used all of the monsters, because they will stop you from using certain types. And in the end, you'll have a lot of special abilities, which to me it's very interesting. Okay. I haven't done more because I'm just simply busy, but I've already played this game a lot for me, because normally I play like once, twice and move on to the next, because of the videos and reviews and all that other stuff. But this, I don't know, it just keeps coming back, and my friends want to keep playing as well because they like it. It's cute. It's a challenge. It's a puzzle. So yeah, I really like the puzzle as well. So yeah, this is basically my review for Keep the Heroes Out. I really love it. It'll stay in my collection. Curious to see where it will be in my top 100 year after year, but it will definitely be in there. And yeah, don't ask me what I like more, if it's the yokai one or this one, because the moment I'm not sure. The top 100 will point it out, I guess. I will decide. Okay, so that's it. I hope you've learned something about the game. If you tell me anything in the comments, okay? Tell me what you like, what you don't like, any other questions, I'm willing to answer. Don't worry about it. Just tell me whatever you want. All right? Okay. This was it. I was Joachim, and always will be. And this was So Many Games All the Time. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.